Hi, welcome to Chillcast, and I'm Rafiq, and our special guest today, Dixie Sedgwick. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good. So, before we start, we have a special drink, and I know you like what flavor?
We're not defined by the flavors, are we?
Yeah, you are.
I can't be defined by any flavor.
Oh, I'm gonna define you, girl.
Okay, go ahead.
Watermelon coconut. Can we get some watermelon coconut
Right
here?
on the nose. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And I'm having mango madness. Oh, she's getting a candy. There she goes. Okay. Isn't it good? Makes you
Cheers.
Cheers.
You gotta chew this
Yes,
drink.
that's right. Well,
Don't
I'll let you
forget that.
finish
You gotta chew
chewing
the drink.
first before I'm going to ask you a question. Well,
Right.
actually, I'm going to say who you are as a watermelon coconut.
Okay.
I just made this up, you know, like. Just
Okay,
made it
good.
up.
That's good. I want to hear it.
You are refreshing and most nutritious. I don't know about nutritious. Than
yeah.
just a flavor. People are aware of you, but not quite remember you without being reminded.
What?
Darn it. Not that you are boring, on the contrary. You are just a little outside the ordinary.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm driving here and talk about what you do and where you want to go from here.
Wow, that's wide open.
Okay. What do you do?
Well, one of the things I do and have done is I wrote a play originally it was called Little Blue-Eyed Girl, which was Clyde Barrow's pet name for his girlfriend Bonnie Parker, his little blue-eyed girl. But for marketing purposes, nobody knew quite what that was or what it was about.
Okay.
So we changed the title of the play to Inside Bonnie Parker.
So why Bonnie Parker?
Why Bonnie Parker?
Yeah.
Good question. I was invited to a meeting. I wrote a script for a producer, and I dropped it off to her, and she's in the middle of a meeting, and she invited me to sit down with this group of people. And I ended up sitting next to, at that time, the assistant for film commissioner for Dallas-Fort Worth.
Okay.
And so anyway, so he had a theater background. And I wanted to do something, I was ready to do something that possibly that I hadn't done before. I was already had written some things. And so when we were talking, he asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to act, write, and direct. And he said,
That's a mouthful. And a handful.
And a handful, yeah, yeah. And so he said, then write a one-woman play about Bonnie Parker because there's a market for it.
Okay.
So there's no point in doing something if there's no market for it, right?
That's exactly
I mean, you want to be able to make some money out of it. And of course, in theater, that's always a bit of a challenge because, you know, where's the art? Theater is very difficult to make money in theater. But so most people are in theater for the love of it.
Okay.
And then we graduate onto film and realize, well, that's a lot of work too. And
everything's a lot of work.
It is. So you got to have a passion for it. So anyway, so he suggested Bonnie Parker.
Okay.
I had no idea who she was or who they were other than the film. And so what I discovered about Bonnie Parker, the things that probably maybe some people know, is that she was an A student. She was an accomplished speaker. At her school, they would ask her to give speeches and recite poetry and sing songs. Local politicians, when she was very young, she was like an early Shirley Temple.
Oh, wow.
And
So he's bad for business.
So local politicians would pick her up and take her to their speeches, and she would either recite poetry or sing songs or cut capers or flip a cartwheel or whatever.
Isn't that amazing how, like, from one part of a life where you become so prominent in the society, and then you just kind of meet someone and you just kind of like let your life astray. Well, I mean, it's like you done research about her and the whole human aspect of who she is.
Right.
And how
you would
she
think
went
that
there.
Because of those early successes, that she would have and make smart choices later.
Yes.
But that's not always necessarily true.
That's not true.
And I think there's there are many reasons for that too. One of them, I believe, is that her father, there was 3 children. There was Buster, Bonnie, and Billy. Billie Jean. There's 3 children.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously Bonnie is in the middle, and she was her daddy's
always the
favorite.
middle child, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm the youngest, and I was a bad one.
Me
I don't
too.
know. But just that need for attention and that craving she had for attention was always there. Now, why she went with Clyde, it wasn't because she was looking for attention. It's because she flat out fell in love with him the minute she saw him. It's kind of like when they saw each other, they were immediately attracted to each other, right?
Right.
And so they were practically inseparable from the time that they met to the time that he got whisked off to prison. So they met in 1930,
Okay.
They met in January of 1930, and he goes off to prison in February. So they were only together maybe a month.
Wow.
Not very long. And then he was in prison at Eastham for 2 years. And now while he was, and what he got picked up for was he was involved with he was involved with an interstate auto theft ring.
Okay.
And so he's stealing cars. He was quite good at that. And he's also safe cracking, and he was also bootlegging, because at that time, alcohol was against the law.
So he is bad for business.
He was bad for business. He was a wild card that Bonnie went for.
So now, from your play,
but the thing that women do, the thing that women do, is they think he's going to change. I'm going to change him, right?
That's typical woman.
It's
I try to
typical.
change my man.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to happen, honey.
No, it's not. It's been 15 years. So anyway, so you start with the play, and then how did it go into the movie? Or you want to talk more about the play?
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
The goal was always, I wanted to take it off Broadway.
Okay.
And right from the beginning, as soon as we got the reviews and we saw the response of the audience, and of course the play continued to develop over the years because books would come out, or and I met the Barrows and the Parkers. I know both sides of the family. I know the historians and the experts and all of these people. In fact, they would come to my show and they would give Q&As after the show.
She met the parents. The parents?
No, not the parents, the family.
The family.
So Buster, remember Buster?
Yes, Buster.
Okay, that's that's Bonnie's older brother.
Okay.
They had a child. He and his wife Edith had a child 5 months after Bonnie and Clyde were killed. And guess what they named her? They named her Bonnie Parker. That was
richly bizarre.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of a tribute.
It was a tribute. He was trying to honor his sister, but what in fact it ended up doing was she was hated everywhere she went. Nobody liked her. She couldn't make friends with anybody. I mean, her story alone, I think, is a fabulous story of what all the kinds of things she went through. Because the thing is that we think that our actions aren't going to affect other people. But on the scale, obviously, the scale and the actions that they committed affected the families in such a diverse way, in a very, very difficult, and brought much, much hardship.
So what led to the play, to the movie?
Well, when I got back from New York, I was like, what do I do with this?
Okay.
And I was actually kind of went into a little bit of a depression because I wasn't sure if I was to let it go and move on to the next thing, which would be fine.
How did you get into the depression? I mean, you got it really good reviews.
But because it's kind of like whenever have you ever experienced a high?
Yes.
And then the low comes.
Oh, I'm so there on that.
It's like you just kind of hit, I don't know. And
I am so there on that.
It was like, you know, everything you ever want, you know, there it is.
And then you got it, and then you got it,
what do
you
I
go.
do now?
Exactly, it's like almost a stopping point. So we've talked a lot about Bonnie, and I'd like to talk more about the man, the Clyde.
So Clyde, when he went to prison, he was pretty much just a petty thief. He hadn't really done anything really serious, not murder or anything. But there was
because he was
predator.
so poor. Was he really poor?
Yeah, they were pretty poor. Yeah, they were pretty poor. But you also have to remember another character in this drama is the times and the environment and what was going on back then. You know, the depression.
Yes.
People were out of work. The banks were closing down. People, you know, you couldn't withdraw your money out of the bank. It was gone, right?
You're right.
So who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? And so Clyde also saw this in prison also. A guard made $50 a month. Yeah. But he could make more money. You know how he did that?
How?
He could say that you were trying to escape and march you over a hill and shoot you and kill you and make $25. The other thing is there was a predator type character in prison named Ed Crowder.
Okay.
And he liked Clyde Barrow. And he was a big guy. And he repeatedly beat and sodomized Clyde. Most people don't know that, but that was Clyde's first murder, was Ed Crowder. He killed him. And that's where Clyde kind of learned the trade. I mean, he's in prison with all of these hardened criminals, right? And
a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma that somebody would have gone through. And that would just kind of like reflect everything when you get out.
Something else he did while he was in prison, because he thought that they were going to kill him. A lot of people think, well, he just wanted to get out of work. You know, he didn't want to have to work. He chopped off he chopped off 2 toes.
Why did they do that?
He did that because he wanted to get out of there. And he felt like that they were going to kill him. He felt like the guards were going to kill him. And so he wanted to get out of there. And so that's what he did. And it got him out of there.
So he chopped his toes just to get out?
Yes, just to get out, to save his life. To save his life.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does. Think if you're in a trap.
Okay.
Look, and animals are in a trap, and sometimes they'll gnaw off their whole leg to get out of that trap.
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's that
One
same
toe or all, like few toes?
The last two. The last 2 toes.
That's messed up.
Had him maxed off. And so then from there he went to the hospital. And then the governor, her name was Ma Ferguson, she released him.
Now, did you know that Clyde Barrow actually is buried here in Oak Cliff?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I went through the grave and it's like climbed over the fence.
I know, you have to do that. They don't even, there's no upkeep for that grave. Yeah.
But they do have this no trespassing. I'm like, screw that, I'm going to take a picture.
Yeah,
like, this is interesting.
So, yeah, good for you. You climbed in there, did it. Ah, that would be, see, that's action.
Yes.
You got to go do it. You got to take the film.
Exactly. You have to get out there and just kind of like, ooh, they're here. So.
Yeah.
Now, you brought a clip for us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we're going to watch it right now.
Okay.
You've read the story of Jesse James, how he lived and died. If you're still in need of something to read, here's a story of Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, it's me, honey. Don't you ever say that again.
So let's go someplace and start over.
We'll. Have to take care of some business.
Okay, that was kind of interesting. I saw her carrying...
Kind of?
No, it is interesting. I saw her carrying a gun, and did she shoot anyone?
Actually, there's no hard evidence that she ever shot anyone other than herself. And she
Where?
shot herself in the foot.
How did she shoot herself?
She was at target practice with Clyde at Clyde's uncle's house, and they were shooting, and Clyde's trying to teach her how to shoot, and she ended up shooting herself between the toes.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And that's in the play, too.
Okay.
Hobbling around. Oh, the other thing that people don't know that is super important,
Okay.
and it's not glamorous at all,
Okay.
but Bonnie and Clyde were in a very serious car accident, and he was a great driver, and he used to drive very fast, but many times they would get in accidents. But they were driving at night. He went over a bridge. He thought the bridge was there, but it was actually had been washed away. And they landed on the other side, and they crashed, and the car rolled. Bonnie was stuck underneath. The car started on fire.
Oh, my goodness.
It caught on fire. And so Bonnie's stuck under the car. Her body is burning. Her leg is jacked up like this. So anyway, and this happened in June of 1933. For the rest of her life, which is, what, 11 months,
Right.
she was crippled. She was handicapped. She could not walk by herself. She either had to have a cane or have somebody help her, but she could not walk. Her legs bent like this. All the muscles and everything was all tightened up.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she couldn't straighten out her leg.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time,
You're
Dixie.
welcome.
And again, thank you so much for your time, and join us again next time with Chillcast with me, Rafiq.